Welcome to Tabletop Gaming with Juice. Now, first of all, just to warn you guys, I may get interrupted by my daughter. She's up. She just woke up from her nap. And then on top of that, this might be my last video that I do from this room. We are going to make this my son's room. We're going to move his crib in here and things like that. And my desk and all of my things are being moved to the man cave, my gaming space, basically the area that I work on miniatures and terrain and where I've already moved a lot of my gaming stuff. So I will have a whole basement to myself, and over time you will see that I'm going to put in a lot of work to up the production value of my channel. Lighting, better microphone. In fact, I'm hoping by the end of August I will have a Blue Yeti. That is the goal. That's the plan. So hopefully by the end of August. But without further ado, let's jump into what this video is about. The other day, I ripped on Nerdarchy for ripping into 5th edition D&D, and, well, I wouldn't say ripped into them, but I just disagreed with them. And so today, I'm going to talk about the things that I dislike about 5th edition. Now, before I even get into that, though, I just want to say 5th edition right now is hands down my favorite game, my favorite system, my favorite version of D&D. It's just, in my opinion, the best. It's the easiest. It's very easy to teach to new people, and in my opinion, it's just a lot of fun. I've had very few bad experiences, and none of them have been because of the game itself or the system. So, with that said, let's jump into it. So, I had to really think hard about this, and when Nerdarchy had discussed the things they disliked, one of the things they said was the shared actions by the ranger. Completely agree with them on that. So just want to get that out of the way. I think it ruins what the Beastmaster Ranger is all about. And I feel like that class could be so much fun to play if it wasn't for that. Am I going to house rule that eventually? I don't know. I think it would depend on a player actually wanting to play that. I have not had anybody actually choose to play that yet. So, another thing, it's not even a dislike. It's more of a wishing they put more into it. And that would be, hey, honey, I'm going to see if I can cut that out of the video afterwards. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so some of the things that I am not, it's not so much that I dislike, it's more of I wish they had a few more, and feats. They have a lot of really good feats, but I do kind of wish they had a few more. I also wish that they had variances and shields. And then something that hasn't been done yet is I kind of wish there was room between like masterwork equipment and magic equipment. And I mean, that's more of a thing that's been across D&D forever anyway. It's like everything, like a magic item is a +1. That's like some of the base level stuff. And I've always thought it would be cool if you had a gap between magic items and standard items, and that you could have things that make the weapon either more accurate because it's lighter or easier to wield, or sharper, or all sorts of different things. And so you could add different types of materials. So I've done a little bit with that in house ruling, not a lot, but that's something I kind of wish they did a little. And I know others have complained about the fact that they don't have you need this many magic items thing. I actually like that. So yeah. Another one that actually, when I was thinking about it, I didn't come up with this. I was talking to Matt Click and the other provokers, and they had mentioned the spell organization. And to me, that they were right. They meant it in the fact that you could be like a 5th level wizard and you have a 3rd level spell that's your highest spell slot. And that is kind of silly. And it makes it hard for new players. In fact, this last Saturday's game, I had a player who's a wizard. They're all 5th level. And he knew he needed new spells, and he went and wrote down a 5th level spell instead of actually following the rules. He wrote down that he had this spell and used it. And, you know, and it's because they're new to 5th edition, but that is something that's a little funny. It's almost like when you hit a certain level, maybe they should have tiered the levels or the spells better. You know, instead of trying to squeeze them all down to 10 levels, they should have made it just, hey, this is a 20th level spell, and, you know, something along those lines. You know, instead of having all those first level spells, they could have spaced those out over a couple levels and done that with all of them up to level 20. And then at the same time, you should have, maybe every level they get one spell of the next slot, you know, or something. That way they could use those spells. I feel like that would probably make more sense. And if I ever do a game system, I will probably think of doing it that way. But I think it goes a little further with that too. For example, I know they're all in alphabetical order, but I almost wish, because I mean, this isn't the player's handbook is not that big. I mean, it's over 300 pages, but you could have added pages. And I think if they would have had the spells set, and you would have had repeats, I get this, but if you would have had it by level, so first by class, so for instance, the first one would be Druid, or no, not Druid, Bard. Bard would be the first one, and you would have all the spells by level and in alphabetical order. And so that way, if you're a Bard, you just go to these pages, boom. If you're a Cleric, you go to these. And I think that would have made it a lot easier, especially for new players. When I ran encounters, there were a lot of times when players were having to look up their spells, a lot, and it slowed things down. And at encounters, when you have anywhere between 3 and 12 players, that's not fun. So I would always just tell them that they need to look up their spells beforehand, and I'd skip them. Not always. Sometimes I'd wait on them, but didn't want to. And that's just one of those things. And I ran into the same thing with some of my at-home groups. So I've had them get the spell cards and use those, and that helps a lot. But it's still something that I think they could have done a little bit better at organizing better. On top of that, the organization of the book I'm okay with for the most part. I'm pretty familiar with it now. One of the things that comes up that I've seen is my players, for some reason, have trouble finding different things. So obviously they go through the race and then the class, and they struggle after that. So whether it's the background, trying to find the background stuff, or trying to find the feats. So the background stuff's right after it, which isn't an issue at all. But when it comes to feats, they go and jump to the customizing your character part, which I think it's after equipment, which is a little funny. I mean, I understand it's like equipment's mandatory. The customizing your character is optional stuff. So I get it. I'm not sure how I would have done that differently, but I know new players seem to struggle trying to find this stuff. You know, so I don't know. And I sort of wish they had more subclasses and subraces. Not necessarily a lot, but for example, with the subraces, they could have had the Sverfneblin or whatever, however you say it, in here. You know, they could have thrown in, because, for example, the Dragonborn, the only subtypes of those are the different colored dragons. I think they could have done a little more with that. Tiefling could have had a different subtype. You know, I feel like they could have some cool subtypes. Sorcerers. There's only 2 types of sorcerers. I wish they had more. Ooh, that's not good. That's going to wake up my son. I wish they had more types of sorcerers. They have, 8 different wizards, 3 different warlocks. So I kind of wish they had more sorcerers. Right now you just have the wild magic and the draconic. And I think they could have done more. Now, that didn't actually occur to me. I mean, I knew you could add a couple more. I had some ideas, but my buddy Chepe Fauntrodden over at Fauntrodden on YouTube, he had made a PDF of his homebrew sorcerer origins. And I think he added 8 or 9. Some really good ones. Love them. In fact, I've already took one of them and started implementing it in my game with a magic item, and that would be blood magic. He has a blood magic sorcerer, and I kind of took that and made it a magic book that my players got, and they're going to be able to use the way he wrote that ability. If you're interested, go check out Fauntron's YouTube channel. Send him a message. Tell him I sent you, and maybe he'll hook you up with that PDF. But it's free. It's free. I think we have it up in the One Shot group if you want to go download it, and I believe it's a couple other places. Completely free. Just some homebrew stuff he's done. But then there's also some others. Like he has a Medusa bloodline one, which is really cool. A few others. They're really good. So, you can tell he put some time and effort into it. I think it's like an 8, maybe between 7 and 10 pages of a PDF. And like I said, it's really good. I was impressed. Again, it's perfectly free, so go check that out by getting a hold of him. But yeah, so I think they could have done a few more things, and who knows, maybe they will eventually. I know the splat book thing is not something they're looking to do, and I'm completely cool with that. But yeah, and then what else? I kind of wish the Paladin had the other fighting styles. I know they, like, for instance, they don't allow Paladins the dual wielding fighting style, which I'm not sure why. It's like they have 2 images of a Paladin, and that's a great weapon fighter or a sword and shield fighter. And I feel like a 2-handed Paladin would be pretty badass. Like, I could just imagine it. Like, that would be cool. I mean, imagine Valeros if he was a Paladin. A little bit cleaner, so it didn't look as mercenary-like, but that would be a cool character, I think. Like, just from the visual of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it or whatever. I don't think archery is one of them for the Paladin either. Then for the Ranger, I don't think they have great weapon. I'll pull it up, but because I don't remember. There's a couple that the Ranger doesn't have either. And I thought that wasn't fair. Because really, I mean, you can train in any of them. I dislike that they still have, I know they've taken away the focus of alignments, but I still dislike that that's a thing. Because alignments are just, in my opinion, are not that realistic. I understand them. I get it. And I understand it's a way to keep your players playing in character, and it, helps them with their character. But yeah. All right. So under Paladin, you don't have the archery, and you don't have the 2 weapons. As for the Ranger, yeah, you don't have great weapon, and you don't have the shield. So, yeah, I guess that's something that bothers me a little bit. I kind of wish they were the same as the other fighter class. I understand. I feel like it's kind of something they did just to make it a little different than the fighter. And Paladins are the most powerful character in the game, pretty much, when it comes to offense and defense. Really, I mean, they can wear heavy armor. I mean, there's no real downside to it, and then they get magic. And yeah, so Paladins are really awesome in this game. What was the other thing? There were a couple other things that I wish they did either differently or. I just had it a second ago. Rangers are pretty weak in this, and not a real fan of that. What was it? I think I just flipped by it. Something with clerics? I don't think so. Oh, the monk class. I don't understand why this is a core class. To me, it doesn't make a ton of sense in a fantasy game for there to be monks. It's something that very few of my players have used in any of my games. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to fit with the rest when you look at the classes, in my opinion. And for me, in my homebrew world, I mean, monks pretty. I mean, they're there only because they're in the book, but they're rare. There's not a lot of monasteries, not a lot of monks, and monks are pretty powerful too. Not that I care. I'm not a big balance person, but the thing that I like is when there's a reason to play a class for a character or for a player who likes powerful classes. Um, for example, when I look at the ranger, I feel like it's pretty weak. I don't see a lot of reason to use that for the type of player who wants a powerful character. Not that you can't make a ranger powerful, and not that it isn't useful. It just I feel like isn't as good as other classes. Um, I think the druid does a lot of things the ranger does, but better. The spells are better. If you want to be a melee fighter, you can do that better by animal change. If you want to do range, you can do range better with spells. Um, Offhand, I can't think of any range spells for druids, but there's just all sorts of things. I just feel like the ranger just doesn't do as well as others. I think they nerfed the favorite enemy a little bit in this game. I feel like it should give you maybe advantage on the first time you attack or something, or something. I don't even know. I'm just throwing something out there. It needs to be better improved, in my opinion. And I've played a ranger. In fact, I played a ranger in the Githyanki game with Badarandak, and I think it was Badaran. Yeah, Badarandak. And I enjoyed that character. He was a lot of fun to play. I still think rangers are fun. I think everything in this game is fun. But right now I'm nitpicking. Everything is just me nitpicking and wishing they would just adjust it a little bit to improve the game. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think that about covers the things that I would improve. The barbarian paths, I think, are a little. Barbarian is front loaded a lot, I feel. You get a lot of good stuff early on, and then there's, in my opinion, nothing that interesting until you hit level 20. And so, for example, if I was playing a campaign as a barbarian, I probably would only go up to, oh gosh, maybe level 10 or 11. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go all the way up to level 20, though. I feel like I would level dip something else. Or not necessarily level dip, but switch to another class at a certain point. When it comes to monsters, I love the monsters in the monster manual. I think they did a good job, and I love the lair actions. It's something I'm just starting to focus on a little more. I haven't put a lot of focus into that, but I haven't had a lot of players that have fought anything in its lair anyway yet. A year of gaming, I still haven't had anything crazy like that happen, really. So that's something, though, now that I've started looking at it, that I think is really cool. So the recharge ability, so you roll a d6, and if it's whatever the number is, then they can use that special ability again. I like that. I also the Dungeon Master Guide. I did a whole review, chapter by chapter, and everything, initial thoughts, things like that. The Dungeon Master Guide, I think, has a lot of awesome stuff in it. I do. Has a lot of stuff that's not necessary, but there are a couple optional rules that if your group is willing to try some things, you can have a lot of cool experiences with the game. And whether that's switching up, how criticals are done, like lingering damage, whether it's using the flanking rules for advantage, or facing rules. Facing rules, and then there was the if more than one person are flanking. That was the other one. So there's a lot of good stuff in the Dungeon Master Guide too. I mean, really, go out if you haven't bought this game, buy the core 3 books, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. and you can get them for about $27 on Amazon. If you want, I can send you the link. You'd be supporting me and my channel because I'd get like 30 cents for you buying each book or whatever. I don't even know. But I love it. I really do. I can't get enough of 5th edition. I'm enjoying my family campaign a lot right now. And our other game has slowed to a halt because of availability. And I will be starting a new job on Monday, by the way. So I will be working a lot. Tuesdays will probably be my YouTube days. And yeah. So with that, I will probably have this uploaded on Saturday. Today's Friday. I'm trying to have this uploaded on Saturday for you guys. And yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend. And if you have any questions or if you disagree with me on anything I've said, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'll do another response to that. And maybe I'm off base. Call me on my bullshit. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.